Thank you. Um, it is a pleasure to be here with you all. And my day job, I am Senior Vice President of External Affairs and Chief Philanthropy Officer for Inspira Health, which is a health system located in the southern region of our state. 8,500 employees and 4 acute care hospitals, over 250 outpatient sites. So we definitely deal with our share of business owners, whether they are your typical business owner or women or minority owned or led. So it is a pleasure to be here leading this program with you all today. Just a little bit of housekeeping before I forget. I promised I would do this and ask you all to please make sure that your cell phones are silenced. I say that, and I am, no, here's my phone, I was about to say. In addition to, if you are looking for the restrooms, I think they may be out and to the right where you come in, should you need to use them. Do not be surprised like I was. They are gender neutral. So if you walk in and you see a urinal, don't think you're in the wrong place. You actually, you're not. So there is that. It is such an exciting opportunity to have the New Jersey Economic Development Authority CEO, Evan Weiss, with us today. Can we give him a warm welcome of applause? Evan has been a leader and a public servant. I will read his bio in a moment, but in the space of economic development, housing, community development, a policy leader throughout our state, and we are so grateful to have him in this capacity within the Sherrill administration, and I think we have nothing but great things to look forward to from him and his team. We thank his team that put together this wonderful program for us, and during Women's History Month. It was great. It was great. Today is really about collaboration and a collective vision for how we look forward to moving our state together as we think about women-led and women-owned businesses throughout our state. How do we ensure that the stories of you all are heard, and many more throughout our state? Your journeys are not silenced, your critical needs. And we have a panel here of women who have all been successful in making their dreams happen and meeting the call and needs of our community through the work that they're doing each and every day. Through their stories and their journeys, they will not only talk about how you access capital, but how you work with government, particularly agencies like EDA, to seek out resources and to realize how you might be a part of the programs that are being created to meet the critical needs of businesses throughout our community. But it also, we're also going to be transparent and talk about many of the challenges that you face as women-owned businesses throughout the state, so that we put on the table what some of the critical issues are and look at how we might solve them together so that we have a better state and can move forward together. Does that sound good to everybody? Absolutely. All right, so it is my pleasure to introduce, and I can tell he's uncomfortable given the great sense of humility that I can already, that I just experienced through my discussion that I've had with him. The CEO of EDA, Evan Weiss. Evan is the Chief Executive Director of the NJ EDA, a role he assumed in January 2026. In this capacity, he works across state government and with industry and community partners to drive economic growth, expand access to capital for small and minority-owned businesses, and position New Jersey as a hub for innovation. Prior to joining EDA, Evan served as the president and CEO of the Nork Alliance and CEO of the Nork Downtown District, where he led efforts in economic, workforce, and community development. He also previously served as senior advisor for finance and major projects to Governor Phil Murphy. where he played a key role in advancing major infrastructure, housing, and economic development initiatives. Evan has also held leadership roles on several boards, including New Jersey Transit, and is a graduate of the University of Chicago. Join me in welcoming EDA's new CEO, Evan Weiss.
Hi, everybody. Just first, I'd love any EDA staff members to raise their hand just so you could find them for the homework assignment I'm going to give everybody before I finish. Not for them, for all of you. So I just want to talk about new, as was noted. I'm the new CEO of the EDA. I am about 2 months into this. There's 2 other new jobs I want to point out. One is I'm a new dad to a 4-ish month old who doesn't sleep that well, and so neither do I. And so this was one of the nights that sleep was not as good as I would like. So bear with me here. The other is our new governor, who is also about 2 months into the job. And newness presents a really exciting opportunity and relates to the homework assignment, which is that we're in a very unique position of having the chance to build off a lot of pretty outstanding work at the EDA, at other parts of government, and the work that all of you have been doing. There's not a need to totally blow things up and start over. It's really about building on what's been going on. But we do have a chance to really refresh. I get, when I do any kind of remarks from the team, some talking points of things to try to address, and one of them is that we hit a really good number in terms of our Main Street set of programs, which are the main small business assistance programs. About $60 million of that went to women-owned businesses. So that's a big achievement. It still is not proportional to what it should be. You know, there's still a lot of room there to grow for women-owned and women-led businesses in terms of the relative share of where that should go. Governor Sherrill has funded that program again, in large part because of the success. But I know also from the nonprofits I was running before this job and a small business, I also ran. It'd be tough to actually get and use that money, to hit all the requirements, to know where to apply, to know what you have to do in month 6, but then also at year 1, and then when you close out the grant and blah, blah, blah. The most important thing I think I can ask and my team can ask is just for you to give as honest feedback as you possibly can. What has been helpful? You can probably sense this, people trying to help you, but it's not actually meeting your needs as an entrepreneur or as someone who works for a great company. We really need to know that. Now is the time for us to know that. This is the chance because I'm 2 months old, governor's 2 months old, to be able to start to change things before we really get to the point of things start to get ossified and stuck. So really today, you're going to hear about all these experiences of women who have not only navigated our programs, but have navigated very complex environments, whether it's the arts, the highest technology, politics, government administration, healthcare, chambers. That's all represented here on this panel. I think this is an even more diverse group in terms of what kind of businesses and entrepreneurs are in the audience. So we can learn from you and tell the staff and get in touch with me or others to tell us what was really successful in the past, what are we missing, what do we need? It's not an easy environment, it obviously never is, but between what's going on in the world and Washington, there's a lot of extra stuff that I think we as a state and as a community need to step in and do. So it is very, very important just to hear what you think, and already who I've gotten to meet in the audience, I think it's very helpful that so many of you represent so many different corners of the state and so many different fields of business. So I'm not going to say anything else because you have a really great panel, but again, feel free to find me and the team just to give us ideas. We're really at that point where we have a lot of opportunity to try to change and to make things as good as they can be. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Thank you so much, Evan, for your remarks. And so we're going to jump right in. And we are going to introduce our panel now. And we're going to do it a little different. I'm not going to read bios, right? We all have been there where we have the bios and then we read through them. We are going to have each woman on the panel for about 30 to 45 seconds give their own 30 to 45-second, if you will, elevator pitch on who they are, what they do, and why they are here. So we're going to start out with Nora.
Thank you. Hello. Oh, hot mic. Hi. Afternoon, everyone. My name is Nora DeVoe Rosen. I'm the managing director here at Two River Theater, which is where you are sitting. I've spent the majority of my career in arts and culture and live entertainment, executive leadership. I grew up in New York, diehard New Yorker, but yes, I live in Jersey. So I worked in theater in New York, and then I moved to Los Angeles for about 10 years and worked in entertainment there, and then came here to New Jersey for this opportunity at Two River Theater, which has been an incredible journey. This community is wildly supportive and vibrant, and it's such an exciting place to contribute to and be a part of. So that's me.
And yeah, and before we move on, I do want to take a moment to thank Nora and Two River Theater for hosting us today. If we could just give them a round of applause for doing that. Thank you. Kara, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Hello. Hi, I'm Kara Kopak. I'm the executive director of FEMERA, which is the Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority. I'm a Monmouth County local. I actually grew up in Eatontown. I kind of have a love affair with Fort Monmouth, being one of the towns that Fort Monmouth is made up of. I was telling one of my colleagues in the back, I actually played manhunt on the golf course, had my first date in the bowling alley, and graduated in the Expo Theater, which is no longer there, unfortunately. But I stumbled upon Fort Monmouth now in my current position completely by accident. I was working for the Department of Defense at Fort Monmouth after college, and I decided I didn't want to take the transfer to Aberdeen, Maryland, because I was a Jersey girl through and through and couldn't see moving away from my family. And I was going to law school at night. And so I took a chance on myself and stayed following my gut with my family. And someone took a chance on me. There was a gentleman that was working at the EDA. His name was Dave Noose. And he saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And he hired me as a project officer at Fort Monmouth doing real estate. Something that I didn't envision myself doing, and I quite honestly knew nothing about redevelopment. I've been there for 10 years. 4 years ago, I was made the executive director. And I'm proof that people do look out for others. People do look out for women in the workforce. Men do look out for women in the workforce. And I am very blessed that I've had a series of men that have looked out for me in the workforce. I try to do the same to my colleagues now. But I'm super lucky. I get to do an amazing thing like redevelop the community in my own backyard. And now we have Netflix coming and 39 other projects with $2.5 billion of capital investment coming to this community. So thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the EDA to putting it together.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And now we're going to turn it over to Assemblywoman Peter Paul.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm happy we're all sitting because of the height issue. But second of all, why did I have to come after Kara? No, I'm kidding. I think this is such an amazing panel and an important panel, especially during this month of Women's History Month. So a little bit of my background. I grew up in North Jersey. I was born in a generation where women were not expected to go to law school. In fact, it was my younger brother, the first boy in the family, that was expected to go to law school to follow in my father's footsteps. And so that delayed my entry into law school for a little bit. I graduated Seton Hall. I then went into the Essex County Prosecutor's Office. Following that, I went into my own practice with a partner, and we eventually merged with my dad's firm, family firm. Learned my lesson, left the family firm, and then opened my own practice, just me. And it's been quite a ride. So before that, I was active with an organization that helped achieve marriage equality in the state of New Jersey. I also co-authored New Jersey's Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights because I felt that, and this is back in 2010, that we needed to uplift and support our children and educate them about the importance of respect and respecting our differences, and that was the purpose behind the bill. I was with that organization for about 12 years and then was asked to be and appointed as a municipal court judge in the wonderful city of Long Branch, conflict judge in Asbury Park. Served there about 4 years, and then I had the opportunity to run for assembly in the state of New Jersey. And in 23, Dr. Margie Donlin and myself were elected to the New Jersey Assembly. Dr. Donlin was the first female physician. I'm the first openly gay woman elected to the legislature. And the importance of all of that is that it's important to have a seat at the table. It's important for your voices to be raised. I made a couple of notes, and probably I'll repeat myself, but I've learned, and it took me a really long time to do this, the necessity of believing in yourself and believing in the fact that you could do it. I hesitated running for office a lot, and then I did it, and I love it, and it's so impactful. So that's my story.
Do I have to go after you?
Go ahead.
Okay.
doesn't have to turn
First
on.
off, thank you for the opportunity to join this wonderful panel of women. It's inspirational to me. I'm Madhu Stemmerman, CEO and co-founder of Sunray Scientific. I graduated, so I'm not from New Jersey, but the New Jersey state is the longest state I've lived in. So that's my story, is that I graduated from Purdue as a chemical engineer. There were, the class in chemical engineering was actually, I'd call it 35-40% female, and the rest male. And I'll just say, after graduating from school, everything's been a bit of a battle, but I love battles, right? My goal is, as many of the women here, is to show that we, whether we're female, minority, it doesn't matter, but we can do things that our predecessors have not done. So I went, for all of you that know Paris, Texas, I went to every small location only because it would allow me to be the first female something, first female plant manager, first female program manager, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's driven me. Now I'm CEO and co-founder of Sunray, and my goal is to show that we as women, and again, minorities, can achieve things that others may think that we can't. So it just is my inner drive to show my daughter that these things can be done, and I love taking home all these different stories of us showcasing that. So it's really important, and I'll just say, Kara and Luann and all of you guys are so inspirational, and I think we need to continue to tell our story because that's what keeps us going, right? And it's not easy, right? I'm fundraising; it's harder than hell to fundraise, right? But we're here now after 8.5 years, and come visit us. But we have an electronics materials manufacturing facility, and we will make it big soon, very close. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Go ahead, Linda.
Thank you. My name is Linda Ziemba. I appreciate the invitation to be here. I've had a lot of support from various programs in the state of New Jersey over the years. We founded, the company is Drone Go Home. We do business as Aero Defense. We detect drones when they fly in spaces where they should not fly. My background was sales and internet security from a long time ago. So I grew up in a very male-oriented world, which wasn't really as supportive, I think, back then as the world is today. But it's been a fabulous journey. I learn something new every day. People say, oh, it must be really exciting to own your own business. And I say, well, yes, it is, but there is a really fine line between exciting and terrifying. But I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for telling your stories. I felt like that just had so much more power than just reading your bios. You know, it is quite ironic that we're here in a theater today as our host. When you think about theater, when you think about the shows you've seen, right? Many of them start out the same. And it's about that moment of possibility in the beginning. And then it leads into what's next. And what has brought all of us together today, right, is to discuss just that. The EDA is hosting this event to raise awareness, to obviously hold space for collaboration, but to also think about what the future could look like for all of us, right? And so we recognize and we're so grateful for all the women that have and continue to open doors. But this is also about what's next, what it looks like, to your point, right? When you're seeking investors and donors, I understand that well as a chief philanthropy officer. What it looks like when you're building relationships or when you have barriers in front of you. How to engage government. I already had that discussion with someone in the room, right? As you're thinking about the next step in the development of your business. And so these women here today are going to share their journeys and some guidance on how they have moved ahead in their businesses. We are on a short time frame. It is 2 o'clock because we got started a few minutes behind, and the program ends at 2:30. So I ask that you think about your questions, you hold them, you recognize towards the end that they may have to be brief, but that we also understand the power and importance of networking and engagement. So if we don't get to everyone towards the end, after we go through the few questions that we have, please have your cards ready so that you can engage each other and the panel here afterwards, okay? All right, so we're gonna start out with the first question. That is to our business owners, and I have told the ladies that we're not going to be prescriptive here. If you have something to add and you are not a business owner, you should feel free to engage. We just want to keep in mind that time is of essence. And the first question to our business owners is, what specific challenges have you faced as a woman entrepreneur, and how have you navigated them? I'll start out. Linda, you want to start?
Sure. I would say the challenges are not really related to gender, that the challenges are the same challenges that anyone faces. And as Madhu was saying, it's how do you raise the funding? I am thankful I haven't had to raise the funding beyond the we've gotten some federal program contracts, small business innovation research contracts. But those challenges really aren't gender-based. It's the same as any small business. It could be that I grew up in an era when I was one of maybe 5% of the females in the room, so I'm kind of possibly blind to it.
So I'll build upon that, Linda. And, can you guys hear me? Yes? Okay, great. So I think one of the challenges, and as we heard, is as women, we do question ourselves way more than we need to. I've been very fortunate as well. I've had a lot of really wonderful male mentors, right? And one of the things that they would say is like, why are you your own worst enemy? And I didn't quite comprehend that, right? But when I heard it from them, right? Never from my parents, because it's like, never was good enough. But when I heard it from my mentors and other women, because we can give good advice to others. Somehow we need to be giving that advice to ourselves in the mirror, right? But we're so hard on ourselves. So on one hand, that's a good thing, right? It keeps us driven. But on the other hand, it is so bad for us, right? And I will tell you, I've worked for 10 different companies because that's how I got my opportunities, right? And the one thing that I saw as a standard theme is the fact that I was so much harsher on myself than my male counterpart. And they were the ones that were getting the promotions. I was probably bringing in twice the amount of results, right? I'll say probably, maybe it was 1.5. I don't know, but definitely more. So I'd say if there's anything that I can say to us as women is have confidence in yourself, right? And keep going, because honestly, some of the issues are the same no matter what. It's just how do we interpret those, and how do we stand up for ourselves?
Can I? It's okay. Can I expand on that a little bit? And Madhu, ask you to expound. I've recognized that they are the same. Would you say that, particularly given your introductory comments, as a woman who is of color?
I mean, you know, I'll say very similar to Linda. I think I've just gotten used to it, because honestly, if you let it bother you, I don't think I'd be here. So I am going to say that I've ignored it, or I don't realize it. And why do I know that is, if some of you have heard of, well, first, I got to say thank you to Judith as part of NJCSIT, because much of what we've been able to leverage from NJEDA, from CSIT, is that's why we're here, and I can expound upon that. But I will say Golden Seeds was also introduced to me, and they invested. And I've been so fortunate to have some wonderful women that invested in us, but invested in me. And they would sit and listen to the questions that were asked by the investor that was thinking about investing in us. And why was it that I got many more difficult and odd questions than my male counterpart? And I'm not sure about my color, but I know I'm not white. So I'm sure there's some elements there too. But yeah, some of the questions, and I did not even realize until they brought that up. I was like, I don't want to hear that, because I need to keep going.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably what it is.
Thank you for that. Now we're going to go over to Nora. You have any views as a women-led organization that you'd like to add in?
Yeah, sure. A couple of things come to mind. One is the double bind. You know, I feel like navigating the double bind where you have to be the exact opposite at the same time in so many different environments with so many different types of people that you're talking to is exhausting. You know, like welcoming but accountable, and smart but not intimidating, and generous but decisive. And so that is, you know, like a daily learning process. You know, and reminding myself that, you know, at the end of the day, the work will speak for itself. It always does. No matter if you don't play the dance super well one day, in the end, the work speaks for itself, and you have to believe in that. You have to believe the work that you're doing. I also say, like, because I spent so much time in California, which is a really different environment to New Jersey. It's literal access is something that I have a hard time with. You know, like, I'm not invited to the golf course where I need to be because I have to fundraise there, or I have to close a deal, but I can't because I'm literally not invited to the golf course. So getting around that by finding other ways of building relationships. The key that I have found and that I have struggled with is how to not sacrifice myself to figure out how to get in the door, which again is like a daily thing. And, you know, sometimes it's, you know, makes you angry, and sometimes it's successful and you learn about yourself and you actually build an authentic relationship and get someone to really care about the work that you're doing, and that's incredibly rewarding. But that's definitely been a change, a culture shock here, which I did not experience as a fundraiser in California.
Great, thank you for that. Kara, Assemblywoman, Peter Paul, is there anything you want to add before I move forward?
Kara, do you want to add it? No. I just want to add this. I think everything that everybody said is completely accurate, and we need to continue to uplift each other. The one thing that wasn't spoken about is do not be afraid to ask for help. We are always afraid to ask for help. Ask for help. Ask for that support.
What a great lead into my next question. Particularly to the business owners and women-led businesses. What have been the most helpful local and state resources to your businesses? Anybody can jump in.
I'll take that one. Is it, yeah, okay. The most helpful state resources that have helped us are through the Commission on Science, Innovation, and Technology. So I would encourage you to learn about those programs. One was a Catalyst grant. So it helped fund the development of a new product. It doesn't totally fund it, so you've got to be strong enough as a business to fund the entire development. And I mentioned the SBIR programs. There's a bridge program that will help you with funding as you're waiting for that grant to come through. So I've found that to be very helpful. And then from the Higher Education, Secretary of Higher Education, there's a program called the Career Accelerator Internship Grant Program. And it's a wonderful program. It provides funding for you to hire interns for the summer. So you apply for it in the beginning of the year, and then you are selected, and then if you get it. One of the success stories I like to share is that we got that program 2 years ago, and one of the interns, female, is now our product manager. So I'm really, really happy and appreciative of that program because it wouldn't have happened otherwise.
So I'll just build as well. So from the NJCSIT, we brought in over $500,000 through similar programs, Linda, that you mentioned. And the best program I'll say along with that is the NJEDA Angel Tax Credit. So over the years, this sounds like a big number, but we've raised $10 million over the last 7.5 years. And one of the big opportunities here is, as an investor, regardless of where you're located, you can be in India, you can be anywhere, you invest in our company, you get 40% tax credit back. So if someone's putting in $1 million, that investor gets $400,000 back from the state. So I can't tell you how wonderful that's been. That is such a great enabler to bring in funding and to be able to communicate that. And the question I always get when I'm outside of the New Jersey state is, there's no way, even that I'm not a New Jersey resident. So I think that's just such a great opportunity for us as raising funds.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Is there anything from this end that you want to add in?
Actually, yeah, just to build on the workforce development opportunities, we partner with Monmouth University, and we're able to run an internship program that is 70% subsidized by the federal subsidies, and it's wonderful. It opens up so much capacity for the organization, and I know that their workforce development program on Monmouth University is looking to continue to build partnerships in that way, so that's been really helpful for the organization. Also, NJEDA's program, I forget the name of it, I'm sorry, but it's like a capital reimbursement grant. We were able to get it for this extremely expensive piece of equipment that we had to purchase due to insurance requirements, and we just happened to hear about this opportunity through River Center in Red Bank, and were able to get it and be reimbursed a huge amount for this completely unexpected piece of equipment that we had to invest in. So the NJEDA's opportunities are really, really wonderful for nonprofits. And if you are a nonprofit here, I highly recommend that you look at them because there's a lot of opportunity to help your organization.
Does anybody know from the EDA team what grant opportunity Nora's talking about, just so that others can?
Thank you. Small business improvement.
Small business improvement grant, just in case there's interest in that. And I think you all make very valid points. One question that I do want to add in, though, is how did you find out about these opportunities? I noticed Nora said that she found out about the small business, I'm having a block, yes, the grant, because the Red Bank Two Rivers Theater told you about it. many small business owners don't necessarily have that type of capacity where they're in environments where others are telling them about the opportunities that exist, right? They're trying to get the business started. They're trying to run the business. They still have a life and a family. They're looking for every opportunity. And then at the same time, they have to be out networking to grow the client base, right? To grow visibility for their business. And there are a lot of pieces to it. So how do you find out about opportunity?
Well, so first off, I'm going to say, Judith, you've been fantastic to let us know what's going on. The other means is that we have a variety of New Jersey angel groups that have also informed us of the multitude. And the last one I'd say is attending events like this. I can't tell you how many times I'm attending I'm making notes of things that I've heard, but it is very difficult. That's one of the things that I'd love to learn more about. What are the opportunities? Because I feel like I find them out a little bit too late.
That's great. Linda, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yes, thank you. So I also learn a lot from Judith. I am a two-time NJEDA company. I was with a company that was located in an incubator. So I got exposure and awareness of a lot of the programs because I was there and part of the program. So I knew that wasn't my personal business. I was investor and key employee, but I knew that the state could provide a lot of support. So when I started my own business, that's the first place I looked.
I have a comment. I want to meet Judith.
Well, hold on. Let me just say, I was just thinking, if Judith thought she was popular before, look out. Karen, go ahead.
I would just say the EDA has a robust website, so I would start there. You can also email people on the EDA website for more information. And I'm a firm believer in shooting your shot. So if you meet someone that's in an industry that you don't know what you're doing, you should connect with them on LinkedIn or email them or reach out to them. And listen, I have people do it to me all the time. And I might not be able to find you what you need, but I probably know someone that knows what you need. And as women, I feel like that is one of our natural powers in community is we are really good at relationships and we're really good at friendships and leaving on positive footing. And like, that is what you should be doing is like, not just asking for help, but shooting your shot with someone that's in an industry that you need information on, you can't find it, reach out to them and say, listen, you might not be it, but do you know someone I can connect with that can point me in the right direction? I need X. Don't try and reinvent the wheel and don't just rely on ChatGPT for it, okay? Find real experts in what you do and then you can actually have a leg up going into it.
Great. Thank you so much for that. The last piece that I'll add before we move on, when Evan spoke, he mentioned amongst the number of potential partners in our ecosystem, chambers of commerce, right? When you're first starting out as a business owner, you may not necessarily have the resources to join a chamber, but what you can do as a chair of a chamber that's very influential in the state is reach out to the leadership of the chamber, your local chamber of commerce, or the state or regional chamber of commerce and say, I'm a newer business owner. I don't have the resources to join now, but do you have any free events? What resources do you have available for business owners that are starting out? Here's a thought, particularly coming from a larger health system in the state. We don't always have enough people to go to all the events we might have tickets to because people have to work in the hospitals. So, are there any organizations that might have tickets left over that they're not using for a few events that you could either connect me to the people there or ask them if they could, extend a ticket to me, right? Those are some ideas because when you get in the room at these business organizations and Chamber of Commerce as well, to your point, you learn a lot about opportunity that you did not know existed, okay? So
So can I want to add one more thing. So, and also reach out to your local representatives. Municipalities have programs, and also the state representatives. We have a great constituent service program in our office, and they could help you introduce you to where your resources are. So don't be afraid to ask.
Okay, so I have 4 questions here for business owners, but I'm going to move to our other 2 areas, and then if we have time, I'll come back to them. I want to make sure I leave enough time for you all, for questions that you may have. That is frankly one of the most important pieces of this, I'm sure, for the EDA. So with that being the case, Assemblywoman Peter Paul, in your experience talking to constituents, what are the primary issues that women entrepreneurs face when they're looking to start or grow their business?
I start out with the premise that small businesses are the backbone of our state and our country. So it's really important that you listen and support small businesses, especially minority-owned and women businesses, because diversity is really important. So what am I hearing? How do I start a business? Where do I get the funding for the business? What about my children? Because women generally are the caregivers. Or if you're older in life, as I was recently, who's going to take care of my parents? And there are so many resources out there in the state of New Jersey that can help you answer those questions. And again, that is why reach out to us, because we can point you in the right direction in terms of where to go. You know, I think all of us up here, I'm going to say lucky, but it's not really lucky. We earned where we are. And as much as we can say, I didn't really feel it, there is that bias. There is that stereotype. There is that undercurrent that you can't be as good as I am. And so when constituents come to me in particular, especially with my background in the gay community, they look and say, how did you do that in a field where, you know, it's not that open, it's not that recognized? And I come back to the same thing as I started out with. You just do it, right? You find the means to do it and you use the resources, and it all comes back to believing in yourself and talking with your hands, by the way.
That's just about being from New Jersey. The next question I have for you is about recent action in terms of legislation that has been taken to support women-owned businesses. Anything come to mind?
And if you don't mind, I have a long list here.
Well, we only have a few minutes.
It's a list of legislation that, because there are women at the table, and because there are men who support the work of women, we have 7 bills currently pending supporting and uplifting women-owned businesses, including supporting a study to understand why women and minority-owned businesses are not getting the deals or the contracts that they should be getting. So we're studying it across the board.
Yeah, that's great.
And if you need a list of that legislation, please come to me and I'll give you that list.
I also think that it's important within that, because there was a disparity study that was performed some time ago, and I don't know what the results, so a lot of times we see a lot of reports or planning that happens in all facets of our life. The implementation is what's key. So any thoughts on where things are with the current disparity study that the state did? All right, never mind.
There's work being done.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Kara, through the efforts of Fort Monmouth Economic Revitalization Authority, the redevelopment of the former Fort Monmouth has created thousands of jobs, recreational opportunities, and new residential options for residents of Monmouth County and beyond. Can you think of any opportunities resulting from the revitalization of the fort that have been particularly beneficial to women?
Sure. There's a bunch. As I said, I have a love affair with Fort Monmouth, so I'm going to make it quick, but I could talk for a long time. First, we have a 20% affordable set aside for all of our affordable housing. So we have kind of changed the game in terms of single parents that have been looking for affordable housing. We have 200 affordable housing units that we've created on Fort Monmouth, which has helped bring parity to some of the towns that have been reluctant to do so. We also have Robert Wood Johnson creating a full healthcare campus. They're creating a 100,000 square foot cancer center. They're also moving 250 beds from Monmouth Medical Center to our campus, state of the art, which will also have a brand new labor and delivery area and a women's care facility there as well. So game changing for women. And finally, one of my favorites, Trinity Hall, all girls private school, 9th through 12th grade. It was born by parents that were pissed because when they came down here from North Jersey, they had gone to all girls private high schools, and they came down to Monmouth County and only boys had a high school to themselves. So they tried to create one with the Diocese of Trenton. It didn't work out, and they just put their money where their mouth was and created it themselves. It's been operating for many years. They bought an old preschool on Fort Monmouth. They did a retrofit. They not only grew out of that almost immediately, they built a second phase, and then they built a third phase. So they just completed their third phase. They're absolutely killing it. 4 years of STEM for all of our girls in Monmouth County, and it's available to all of our children. So it's amazing.
That's amazing. That is an amazing story of success. The last question I have, and then we're going to open it up to the audience, specific to Linda and Mahu. The NJEDA has numerous resources intended to support innovative startup companies. You both have alluded to the support of the EDA and the guidance of Judith within that work. In your experience, do these programs do enough to include and support women entrepreneurs?
She says, "Go ahead, Linda."
Well, you already, and just quickly, you were already talking, I know, to Evan about some of this. As you talk about taking your shot, they took it, but he opened the door. He was like, well, tell me more about that, right? Because that's what a good leader does. They don't just let it slide. They're like, tell us how we do that better.
Yeah.
And they walked right into the door. So if you could follow up.
Exactly. I was going to take another shot. So I've been thinking about that because Evan and I did talk earlier about like what can we do, and like I've funded my business in part through the federal contracts we mentioned and the New Jersey state, but also by making product that people want to buy. So I have had revenue. I've had revenue coming into the business since 2018. So the thing that would help most would be some way to match the buyers in the states, counties, cities of New Jersey with the businesses. And I'm really going to take my shot. The FIFA World Cup has a lot of security. We are a Department of Homeland Security designated technology. We are cut out 100% from providing security. Not because of my gender. I'm going to say it's more because I don't have lobbyists and that sort of thing. But the governor established a grant so that many communities could have smaller events. So my technology would be perfect for those smaller communities, but I have no idea how to approach them and how to get to them. So I was thinking about that, and my suggestion is maybe there's some sort of industry or event-driven trigger to bring the small businesses with the potential buyers, instead of bringing every small business and every agency and having the agency attendees be the small business and diversity representatives. Have the actual agency buyer, the users, participate, because I've participated in a number of those events, and the agency contacts say, "Oh, I don't know who would be the buyer, but good luck when you find them. We've got a great small business program to incorporate you." And I'm like, "Okay, well, that's the hard part, finding the right buyer." So, anyway,
I would just
I took my shot.
I would just I would
I love
add
it. I'm
that
here for
I
it.
think there's a lot of federal funding out there, and one of the things that we've been hearing a lot is that New Jersey, we need to work together as one to bring in the funding. There are so many, whether it's universities going after things individually or companies going after individually, where other states around us, they collaborate. So we're such a small state. I think when we get to know each other, we can work together, but somehow why we're working against each other is a little bit really tough for me to comprehend. And I think, Luann, you were at our facility, but we try, as a small company, and Judith, you were there, but as a small company, we tried to bring universities and other companies together, big companies, small companies, so we could start, but it's really tough. So we've got to enable that, right? We've got to enable that much more, because there's a lot of federal funding out there. Well, I think it's about to be released. It's been a little tough lately, but I think it's going to open up soon. So
Thank you so much for that. Can we give everybody on the panel a round of applause? We thank these ladies so much for taking time, for sharing their journey, talking about the opportunity and the barriers that have been before them and are before many of you all as women-owned and led businesses. We thank the EDA team for pulling this together so that they could hear directly from you all about those challenges and what opportunities and resources are working. So hopefully you jotted down some ideas. You learned about some opportunities. There will be post this opportunity, obviously, to network and engage more. But we are now going to, swallowed wrong, excuse me. We're now going to open it up for a few questions. Considering time, we could take 2 short questions before we end. Is there anybody? Sorry. No. Excuse me.
Hello, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate that. The outpour of support and also sharing your stories. My name is Sue Lady. I'm the founder of BizConEd, and we opened up shop April of last year in New Jersey. We have an office in Kearney Point, and within the first 3 months, we were revenue positive, and I'm completely bootstrapped. So no CDs, no loans, no nothing. It's all coming just from hard work. And I'm 100%, all the employees in my company, I'm very small, but we are 100% women. So really happy about that, SBE and WMBE. So really, really proud about that. For me, my main question is, how would a small business like myself understand based on categorically what industry we're in? Because there's so many different industries, there's so many programs, but we don't fit within that particular program or what the requirements are. What are good resources or places that you can say are good places for us to look for? Because I've looked so many places and it's like, no, you don't fit this particular industry. How can we look in that?
I can take that one. I've been in the drone detection business for more than 10 years. We still don't fit in a category. A little bit better now, but what I would recommend is look at your competitors, and there are federal systems. You can see who's paid and how much they've paid. See what category they're in and sign up for those categories and sign up for getting bid notices through, on those categories.
That was great. Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Monta Figueroa, and I am the CEO of a lovely company called Campowerment. Proudly, I am the state's first Black woman-owned to be operational in cannabis as far as manufacturing goes. Thank you. I'm also really happy to say that even though there's a lot of federal funding out there and stuff, the cannabis industry, we don't have access to that. And so it's really exciting to know that I actually got some money from the NJEDA recently, which allowed me to invest in creating the state's first canned THC beverage. And so while all of that is really exciting, my question is really for you, Ms. Luann. How do we wanted to make sure that the economic infrastructure that the EDA just gave me doesn't go to waste, because there's policy in front of me that is allowing for me to now compete with products that should not be sold in dispensaries, even though it's a temporary time.
Reach out to your local representatives and make sure that others that you know in other districts reach out to their local representatives and put together a one sheet, right? Information, I just lost my pen, so maybe I'm saying the wrong thing, I don't know. No, it's about, yes, right? It's about advocating for yourself, and if you can afford a lobbyist, do it.
I'm also the chair of the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association for Manufacturing. I'm the chair of the manufacturing committee for the NJCBA, the Cannabis Business Association. So we definitely have some support there. I reached out to Senator Vin Gopak as well, so I'm waiting for a call back. We operate out of Neptune, New Jersey, and so
Oh, so you are a constituent.
I am.
Turn around.
Hi, yes, I need a call, please, a meeting today.
See, you got it.
That's great. Are there any other questions for our panel? Well, we thank you all so much for being here today. Hopefully you will engage. Please make sure you get Judith's card. If everybody else from the EDA as well could just raise their hand briefly, so you know who partners are and who you want to engage with. We thank you all so much for your service and for making sure, when you think about the EDA, it's really important to understand, and I often tell my colleagues, particularly working in the healthcare industry, that when we look at impact on healthcare, everything goes back to the economic viability of communities, right? Everything. And so it's important to recognize the critical role that agencies like EDA play in ensuring that our communities are healthy, that they're viable, that they're growing, that we as business owners have access to resources and support so that our communities can continue to improve. Without them, our communities lose a lot of hope and opportunity to grow. So we thank you all for being here. We thank you, EDA, for your work. Have a great afternoon.